Film Review. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Michael Stephenson.
Hello all, how are you? Now Sarah, before you go on any further, I just want to talk to the people just for a moment. Now, you're all probably aware of the coronavirus going around, if not you've been living under a rock or in a closed room. Now, I just want to say that we have got we've had some of our previous podcasts have had some guests come in. Now, because of the virus and the idea of isolating yourself from the virus and keeping away from group meetings, we won't be having any guests coming for a while. So Sarah and I are going to be running it by ourselves for the next couple of months until we get a reasonable all clear from the government saying it's okay to loosen up a little bit. So Sarah and I are going to do our damn best to keep you guys entertained with our facts, figures, my humour, and and the like. So please bear with us. It's just going to be just us two and no guests, unfortunately. So away with it. Sarah, what are we doing today?
Well, we're going to be reviewing another TV movie called Cast a Deadly Spell. Not smell, spell.
Yeah, I get that was I believe it was a TV movie done by HBO. It was a fantasy stroke comedy stroke mystery stroke thriller. So it covers a whole lot of cross genre stuff, and it fits right in to what we like talking about.
Yes. And who directed this masterpiece?
It wasn't me. No, directed by a guy called Martin Campbell, whoever he is. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think he works for probably HBO or something or other.
Yes. And
Yep.
who stars in this masterpiece too?
His masterpiece was the main stars are. We had a guy called Fred Ward playing the role of Harry Phillip Lovecraft. He's a detective. I'll talk about him a bit more in a moment. Now, his femme fatale offsider, he's the love of his life, who's not the love of his life anymore, was played by Julianne Moore, and she played Connie Stone. Now, David Warner, he's been in quite a few movies over the years and TV programs and such. He plays the nasty guy in this.
Nasty slash supposedly suspect.
Okay, megalomaniac wants to go for world domination. Not the normal guy you'd have next door. That's Amos Hackshaw, and you've got a pretty daughter, Alexandra Powers, plays the role of Olivia Hackshaw. Now, she's an interesting piece. She's got some interesting parts in this movie. I think of a couple of parts that are really interesting, but we won't go there. Now I'll just go back to Harry Phillip Lovecraft. Now, the guy who wrote this, Joseph Doherty, I've got a funny feeling that he was a H.P. Lovecraft fan, because the style of H.P. Lovecraft, the writer, that sort of style shows up in the storyline, because Lovecraft was into fantasy writings, a bit of supernatural, horror, and that sort of appears to be coming in here. Now, there was no plagiarism, because I've read some Lovecraft, I've gone through some of his books. There's nothing like this in the Lovecraft bibliography. So there's a good chance that Joseph was inspired by Lovecraft, and he wrote a Lovecraft-style story.
Yeah, and he based his favorite author, for the main character. For this
we gave them as a tribute to the author. He named him after it. Now, just one more thing on the Lovecraft role, the person, the character. It's sort of like Humphrey Bogart out of the Maltese Falcon goes to a fantasy realm almost. Yeah, that's pretty close.
I think it's close enough.
So it's well done.
Yeah, and it has a film noir about it, which is kind of
it does,
which
certainly
fits in it. It has
I love film noir.
Yeah, it has that musical sense as well as that.
It's got a mixture. The good guys aren't all that good, and the bad guys aren't all bad. It's dark. It's a bit of sinister. It's a bit of sexual tension in it. It's the typical thing you get from the old 1940s film noir stuff. It's good, fun. It's a good story, and it's not done in black and white.
But it still has that dark, shadowy appeal to it.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Dark world.
It doesn't. It's not black and white, and it's not like It captures a sense of non-reality without being weird. Do you think that was the best way to put it?
Yeah, I think the best
yeah.
thing I could put it is, I mean, this movie also makes me think of Dick Tracy's
Yeah, the one with Warren Beatty
comics.
in it. Yeah, Warren Beatty movie. That made a sort of an alternate reality, and things did look normal, but they didn't look quite normal.
Yeah.
The colours were a bit
Yeah,
too stark and stuff.
Yeah, in this movie, the colors
Yeah.
do look a bit interesting, filtered,
Yeah,
related.
that's
Like-
that catches a similar feeling.
Yes, gives
Yeah.
me that sort of look to it. So we'll give you a bit of a dive into the summary of this movie.
Do you want to take that apart now?
Yes,
or
I
do
think
you
I will.
You will do that.
So this Lovecraft, the detective Lovecraft, he's living in a time where magic and supernatural is part of their lives and part of his life, even though he's the only one not practicing dark arts or any witchcraft related
Yeah,
stuff.
he didn't like it, or he
But-
had problems with it, or something or
Yeah,
other.
but
Didn't
that
want to
one's
use it anymore.
in much later in the sequel.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
won't
yeah. Well, it's okay,
explain.
but he just didn't like using it.
Yeah, like everyone in the world is actually using it. Just picture it as if you were the only one out there who doesn't have an iPhone or iPad, you'd be just like Lovecraft
Yeah, exactly
in this
right.
sort
Yeah,
of
because it's like
situation.
everyone's got one except for you. Why aren't you using one? I've got people saying that about me over the years about my mobile phone. I have a mobile phone. I don't turn it on. I use it when I go driving somewhere, and I use it as my lifeline. Now people say, "Why don't you turn your phone on?" So I turn my phone on, and nobody phones me. And I phone them, and it goes to their message bank, and then I get a call back. Hello.
Yeah, so roughly similar to that sort of circumstances.
So yeah,
sort of.
weird.
Yeah, and Lovecraft doing things the old-fashioned way,
He does.
using his brain smarts and not relying on waving hand gestures.
Yeah. The old film noir movies like, which was obviously going to the whole Humphrey Bogart movies, The Big Heat. I think there was another guy had that great feeling of the late 40s, that period where it was nice, a meaty, good story without being really over the top.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So Lovecraft has to solve the case of a missing magical book.
Yeah, the Necronomicon.
Yes, a
Ooh,
book that
that's a hard one, isn't it?
yeah, a book that could summon evil demons and gods, and in order to end the world, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
what we know.
just covering this bit, I mean, in this world, you have got monsters. You've got gargoyles.
You have werewolves.
You have zombies
Yeah.
being used as servants and stuff. It's really interesting when you
Yeah, and there's a few vampire type prostitutes.
Oh, they're cute.
in one scene.
Yeah, they're very
I
nice.
think I
Well, they
recall-
are creatures of the night. Both of them are, aren't they?
when you
Prostitutes
think about
are.
it.
Vampires are.
Yeah, what else comes out
And they,
at night?
and they both put the bite on you for one reason or another.
Quite. I do think that the zombie bits are kind of interesting. It puts me in mind of a little bit of the the way people African Americans were treated back then.
You're pushing it a tad, but they had these zombie guy. Well, there's only one zombie mainly,
Yes.
and he works for this criminal guy. And he says, "Oh, the guy buy the 6-pack. I get it from Haiti." Is that okay? The voodoo guy shipped him over there. So yeah, in Haiti, they'd all be dark skinned. I won't say Afro Americans because not Afro Americans. So they'll be dark skinned people. So and he's playing a dark skinned guy, but he's built like he'd fill a doorway. This guy, he's huge. I'd hate to come across him, even if he's whether he's a zombie or a real guy. He would knuckle the hell out of you.
Yeah. So anyway, Lovecraft, he goes to his first client and he tells him, "I want you to find this book because it's for a special lecture I'm giving."
Yeah,
and this is the guy
he
we were
lied.
talking about earlier.
Yeah, Dave Warner. Yeah.
Yeah, and his daughter has something to do with it, meaning she's involved in this.
Yeah, we won't say
thing.
her part in it just yet.
Yes. So he finds he kind of finds a few leads, and he also meets up with his old girlfriend Connie.
Who works at a nightclub.
Yes.
Gee,
One of
that
those-
shows up in just about every old film noir movie.
like one of those speakeasy ones, obviously.
I don't speakeasy, but it was just
Yeah, it's one of those places where the Untouchables would have been
back in
trying
that
to
look
get
that sort
rid
of period, yeah, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it's during Prohibition era or anything, but that sort of feel. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she's a beautiful singer in
Not
this
bad
one.
looking. He's on the eyeballs, guys.
Yeah, and she's pretty much taken by him, but she's at the. She's also saying the same question over throughout this movie. They keep saying to Lovecraft, "Why don't you pick up a wand and start, doing
Yeah,
start
become Harry
casting
Potter
money,
or something or other.
casting some magic spells."
Yeah, Expelliarmus, like Harry Potter, that sort of stuff.
But they all keep saying this throughout this movie. It's a subject that doesn't end.
He didn't actually say in this movie he doesn't like using magic. I reckon it was a little bit like in the sequel. We're not going to talk about the sequel just now, but in the sequel, it was mentioned that he had used magic in the past, and something went wrong, so he refuses to use magic.
Yes.
And that could be the underlying cause for his refusal to use magic. Yeah.
I think also it mentions in this one, he does say that magic, like if you're a witch or a wizard, there's always going to be a catch. Meaning, if you cast something, no doubt it's going to come back at you, and that means you have to pay the price for
you have to pay the piper, folks.
Yes. Meaning, and he said like probably a little bit more better that he says that there's no contract on his soul. I think that means
that's true too. Because if the magic's coming from a dark place. Obviously, yeah, like it's okay for those if you don't believe heaven and hell and the God and devil. Okay, but if you got a good and evil in the universe and the power's coming from an evil source, does that make you a slave to evil, like Darth Vader and the Emperor? Darth Vader became a slave to the dark side. So there's little scenario type things going in there, and that was implied that maybe they're selling themselves over to the dark side or evil instead of trying to be nice, good people.
Yeah, all through this. Well, at the beginning and the end of the movie, we do hear the narration. You know how in the detective movies, you always hear a narrator from the like.
Yeah, they had the narration at the beginning and the end of some of these movies.
Yeah, like this.
It's an old dark night, rah. Hey, I'm sitting here in my office. Those sort of things.
Yeah, they did it with this one, and they did it. I think with Blade Runner, I recall.
Yeah,
with,
Blade Runner had a
Harrison
voice
Ford,
at the beginning
because that had a bit of a noir look to it.
Well, it actually did. It had a modern film noir type style to Blade Runner. Very good analogy. But those narrations to introduce the people and the plots was very common back in those days.
Yeah, I like I like it in this one, just like in a lot of movies where this one's interesting. I'd say he says his boss told him that there was bad and this is where he narrates into it. He says, "My boss is right. There was bad and there was bad," and all that stuff, and always begins with a woman. It always begins with a woman.
And lo and behold,
Connie comes in,
and he's Jet's girlfriend, who's a bit of I wouldn't say a social climber, but she wants more than what he can give her because he's a detective guy, doesn't make a lot of money.
And he sleeps in his office.
Yeah, because he's got nowhere else, so he's living from day to day, and she wants more than what he can give from a monetary side of things.
Yeah.
So
another woman in this story is his housekeeper.
The landlord?
Landlorder.
No. So he's renting a room off the lady who's got, I don't know if she actually owns the building, but she got some rooms there and he's subletting a room from her maybe.
Yeah.
But she's a really nice lady. But and as like all the other people, she practices magic, but she's a bit more nice. She's a nice person practicing magic, only doing, let's say, white magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all through this movie, she says that something bad is happening and she must leave town because...
Yeah, she can sense it somehow or other. There's a problem with the Force.
Yeah, that's what she keeps saying. At the beginning, to the beginning of the movie, you see her on the rooftops, or out, checking,
What is it for a group of people upstairs? Oh, the other movie.
No, that was the other movie. In this one, she's sitting, listening to the vibes, and senses something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, she can sense. Well, she's in tune with the cosmic energy. So that's a good word, isn't it? Too? Cosmic energies.
Yes.
Yeah. She's in tune with that, and she can feel something. It's sort of like, hey, this is not real good. I'm getting out of here. Like rats leaving a sinking ship. There she is. Head rat. Off she goes.
Yes, she's not a bad person, and
Yeah.
she gives much way to the halfway through the film. She gives Lovecraft a magical bracelet. I
Yeah,
think.
a talisman,
A
bracelet, something or
talisman.
other,
'Cause
to protect him.
yeah, even though he didn't want it, he kept saying, "Get this thing off me." It's like handcuffed to his hand, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yes, meaning he can't remove it even if he wanted
It's
to.
it's magically
Yeah, and
put
she
on.
says, all part of the service, it's attached to the heart, yada yada yada, and she says, I'll add it to my next month's rent.
Yes,
As I said before, she wants the rent from Lovecraft, and
yeah,
Lovecraft
he's
probably
behind
is-
his rent. Yeah.
Yes.
Now the point, this is a comedy as well as a fantasy, so there are some comedy bits here, good lines, and yeah, so it is fun all the way through.
Yeah, I thought it was,
Little
I
quips
thought it
and
was, I
stuff
thought it was
and-
hilarious when she says that I'll add it to my next month's rent if we're lucky. That's
If we're
what-
lucky, yeah, yeah. If we're
Meaning-
still here, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do
Now.
we talk about the plot itself now?
Yes. Okay. So Lovecraft goes and investigates through this
Looks for
process.
this book. Yeah.
And he finds out later on the book is connected to bringing back the evil
Yeah,
gods.
the old gods, Cthulhu or
and
something.
the only
or
way
other,
to do that is to a sacrifice, obviously.
They need a virgin. Now they're really hard to find nowadays, but back in those days it might have been a tad easier.
Also, they think.
Well, that gets onto this this Hackshaw's daughter. His daughter Olivia Hackshaw.
Yeah.
She's how old is 20, 16? I can't remember.
Could be 19 or,
Well,
or
she's
20.
an old teenager or young adult, but she's being kept pure. If you know what
Yeah.
I mean, folks.
Yeah.
She's unsullied because they need a virgin for the sacrifice.
Yeah, and throughout this movie, you'll see the father, he's very protective of her
His daughter.
interests.
Yeah, and actually.
Even though when you first meet her, she's very horny or very
yeah,
flirty.
Is it testosterone? I can't remember. Her hormones are running wild. How's that for? Yeah.
Wow.
And she tries to hit on Lovecraft, and
Another detective.
and then no Lovecraft.
Yeah, this
oh
one,
no,
and
not,
she's-
that's later in the movie. She tries. As soon as she meets Lovecraft, she tries to hit on him, and I get the funny feeling she's not really a virgin, but Daddy doesn't know this.
No.
Ah.
Yeah, but I think that the father is aware that his
He's
daughter
not aware
is.
of anything.
I think his daughter is. He's aware that his daughter is anxious to get out there in the world.
Yes, but he doesn't know she's been out there already. So it might be a well-beaten path. Who knows?
Yeah, all the time Lovecraft is investigating. His men are chasing after him too.
Yeah.
Even a gargoyle is chasing.
Yeah,
him
they got a
too.
gargoyle involved. And I think he's actually got something to do with this Hackshaw guy. I think he's working for him. Or was he working
Yes.
for the other guy?
I think he was working for him.
Yeah.
But I think they were both working
Yeah,
for each other.
that's right. Yeah, and he's helping because he's. Everyone wants to find this book. Hackshaw wants it, and that other guy, that Lovecraft knows who's running the nightclub, he wants it.
Yes.
So and it's a battle between who gets it first, I suppose.
Yeah.
They've got three of them. We've got Lovecraft looking for it, and if he finds it, the other two guys want it. Of course, Hackshaw wants it to do his evil biddings and be. Let's say, okay, I'll let that back. He wants to be ruler of the universe, and the guy who's in charge of the owner of the nightclub wants the same role. There ain't no room for two guys.
Yeah.
So whoever gets the book first can do the spell.
Turns out the book isn't taken by the nightclub owner. It turns out it was taken by, I don't know how to describe this.
A person had it.
A person had it.
Yeah, and
he used
they
to
made
be,
they made a copy of it and sold it to the nightclub owner who had a nice looking book and they opened up. There's all blank pages in it. Whoops.
Whoops. Yeah. Anyway, he explains it to Lovecraft about what's going on, and their reason for not giving the book to their supposedly clients because they know what's going on.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's. I wouldn't either. If I knew it, I'd destroy the book. You know.
Yeah, if
but
it was up to me, I would do the same.
do you want a copy of it? I've downloaded one. Well, you can get. They couldn't download back then. And it's really funny. They got all this magical power. They got old telephones, old cars. You would think they could magic up a really, really, really nice car. Yeah.
Agreed. So anyway, when Lovecraft finally gets the book, he gets double crossed by Connie, and
As his girlfriend.
as his girlfriend,
Or yes, girlfriend.
for the nightclub owner, and well, they get spirited away to a real estate site where they're going to be doing the dabbling of the dark arts.
Yeah, I don't know why it was chosen for there, but maybe it might have been the right portal, maybe? So where they want to do the spell, because that's where the doorway is to let this old god back into our realm.
Ooh. Yes. So anyway, they go there. It's well, I thought this final scene was a bit on the slow side. I was hoping for a brown spanking, awesome,
Well, wait a
fight
minute.
scene in this movie.
Wait a minute, don't go to the end just yet. There's interesting parts during the movie. There's
You know.
while Lovecraft's going out, Hackshaw's daughter comes to town. So Dad has to get away from Daddy, and they go out to lunch and stuff. He goes out with Lovecraft and Olivia go out to lunch, and they go to this restaurant, and someone tries to put a spell on Lovecraft to kill him, and it backfires, and the restaurant guy ends up being destroyed, I suppose. Burnt to death and stuff.
Yeah,
and different
and that's when
things.
he goes to his ex-boss's place, the police station, and he sits down to him and tells him, "I'm not worried about you, Lovecraft, getting hurt, but I'm worried about the people who will get pulled into it."
Yeah, so
sort of like if
what
you
are friends for? Hey,
well, it's like carrying a gun. If you start shooting, you could end up shooting civilians.
Exactly. Yeah, but Lovecraft's just doing a job.
True.
But anyway, so it progresses on, and I think Lovecraft actually finally gets the book in his hands, and he does take it to Mr. Hackshaw. And Mr. Hackshaw, he meets him there. Was it that what?
No. He gets ambushed by the nightclub owner, and then Connery reveals
That's right. Yeah,
that
yeah.
she
He gets
is a backstabber.
That's right. But then they all appear at that place where they're going to do the conjuration at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah. Because
Yeah.
the nightclub owner's got the book, and the ex-girlfriend's there, and Lovecraft is there, plus that detective guy is there.
Yeah.
We won't get into that. We'll get into it in a minute. This young detective guy who is married.
Very relevant.
And Mr. Hackshaw, who wants to do the spell. And
Yeah,
anyway,
which he does.
reluctantly,
Reluctantly.
reluctantly, the nightclub owner hands a book over to Mr. Hackshaw, and he starts a conjuration.
Yeah, and just before that, he gets shot by Connie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's right. She shoots him, then she hands the book over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
sorry, folks.
yeah, and then she realizes the biggest mistake of her career.
Yeah. Naughty girl.
Yes.
But anyway, Mr. Hackshaw starts a conjuration, and the ground opens up, and you see this monster guy start to come in. Look, a big slug. What do a big maggot?
I think it was a slug.
Big slug, big maggot-looking thing. It looks terrible.
Ugh.
I mean, you want to worship this thing? Hello.
Well.
But anyway, the point it gets me is, if this old god is going to come out and destroy humanity, who or what is Hackshaw going to be in charge of?
No,
A dead planet?
Maybe I don't know.
Well, I've got world domination. This old god's going to come here and destroy humanity.
I don't think he's going to destroy it. I think that he's going to become. I think with seeing as he's got the book, he has control of this monster. There's a big chance he may be able to destroy other things.
I don't think it's quite that easy. Once you let one of those guys out, you can't put them back quite that easy.
I know, but he had the book, and he thought he had the power. And with him about to kill a virgin, he might be able to steal the pat, if there is a pat.
Now, this is the interesting part, folks. He has to sacrifice his daughter, this beautiful blonde-haired virginal girl, and he gives her to the creature, the god, the old god, and he picks her up. He's going to do whatever he's going to eat her or do whatever, and he puts her down again. She's not a virgin. Daddy, why is the father always the last to know?
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, so if you're casting, the rules are with magic, I believe, if you're casting a spell and you do something wrong and try to cheat the demon or god or whatever, you will pay the penalty. Guess what? He
did.
paid the penalty.
Yeah.
This old god thing picked him up
And
just
sucked him up like
sucked him up and ate him, whatever. And then the old god went back into the netherworld, waiting for the next, how many hundred years? So many hundred years between conjurations?
100 or 1,000.
A couple hundred years or whatever.
More.
Or whatever. Yeah, no one else is going to be able to conjure him, and no one's going to know about it, maybe. So he won't get a chance to come back. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah. Anyway, Lovecraft finds out from the other detective that was bumped on the head, that was in the car, one of the cars.
Yeah.
And he finds out that he took advantage of the daughter.
The daughter. But who's to say he was number one? Who's to say he was the first?
I don't know. I mean, she said herself that
she didn't say.
She says. Herself that she gave up her whatever to.
Oh yes, he did. So he might have been number one. Okay,
yeah,
sorry, Mom was
and
but she was ready for her, really.
Yes,
yeah.
and she blew her top when she found out that he was
married.
married.
She thought, oh, it's love. I'll have sex with this guy, and well, you're married.
Well, you jumped first, lady.
Whatever, yeah.
Well,
I won't use that sort of language in front of the kiddies.
Well, she jumped right into it, that relationship.
Well, someone jumped into something. I'll tell you right now. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we have Lovecraft. Has a private moment with Connie, realizing that she killed the mob boss, which means that she will be looking at so many years in jail time.
Yeah.
And
is he going to wait for her?
I don't know.
Probably not.
But anyway, they have a
Mm.
final, moment together, and
bundling.
No.
Oh, sorry.
They had it much later on. Well, I wouldn't call it that. I mean, they did have a sex scene in that movie.
Oh, yeah, they did one half. I forgot the sex scene. You didn't see anything. You're not missing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's all implied.
he finally says his final word. They've had their final moment. He has the book and he takes it back to his office, and his landlady was there.
She's pretty.
And she begins to give him first aid and all that stuff. And
she's a nice lady. I like her.
He mutters to himself or narrates that he looks forward to morning. He looks forward to ordinary things and not having to worry about people, with nothing up their sleeve except their arms. Hint, hint. Which is a joke, which means he's
not on the sleeve. I'm wearing a t-shirt. That's why. No,
yes, and that means he's much more. He looks forward to just ordinary, calm, good.
Everything back to
normal.
As normal as it can be in his world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand where he's going. I'm praying for that with this coronavirus as I speak. Well, I don't like this virus. It makes me feel ick inside.
Why are we talking about the virus? We're talking about a podcast, about a movie.
I know.
Now, okay.
So he's finally got the book, and there's the end of our movie.
And the credits roll.
Yes.
Now, let's pick the movie apart. No. It wasn't a bad movie, actually. I did like it. Filming was excellent. I mean,
colour was cool too.
Whoever the DOP was, director of photography, I think he did a good job. It was great. Colours. Whoever. The director, if he had something to do with all that, everything sort of come together to give you a real world experience, but not quite right.
Yeah, if this was somehow a TV series, I probably definitely would. It would build on it and build on my imagination.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't going to head that way, it would have been great if they had a stronger battle scene way to the end.
Possibly. Actually, the bit at the end was a bit lame with the monster. So, okay, I'll put the daughter down, pick you up, eat you, and go back in the hole in the ground. It could have been a tad more. I wouldn't say more action because it's just a god eating a guy, but it could have been a bit more build up in it.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, here you go. Oh, there's a bit of thunder and lightning. Oh, there's a demon dancing over there, and so and blah 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 blah. He just got chewed up. Bye, folks. Everything's happy now. There could have been something else.
Yeah, at least
to build it up a little bit better and make it a bit more woo. Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't bad. Mm-hmm. It could have been a tad better.
Yeah, maybe like a gunfight.
What shooting a big slug. It
I
ain't
don't
going to
know.
work.
It would be cool, to fight it before
Have the Marines come in with bazookas and everything.
before it attacked its victim. And when they thought they may not win, then the creature picks it up and says, "Oh, this is used."
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
But I mean, you need something. It wasn't bad. The whole lot worked. But yeah, I thought the ending could have been just that smidgen better for what do you call it? A bit more more atmosphere, effect, something. Something was just lacking, and I can't put my finger on it. It's still a good show, and it's still a good ending, but that's all. Yeah. Could have been, that little bit, but maybe they had no idea on how to do that bit. You're working on a fantasy realm. What are you supposed to do? Yeah. I'll get some holy water and throw on him. That's not going to work necessarily.
True.
He might be Christian. Now, yeah.
But it would have been nice if they had something to defend them against this creature. If there was a defense. If there was a way,
something, garlic of a vampire, something else. There could have been something, but did that thing on Lovecraft's wrist protect him? I can't remember now.
I don't think so. I mean, I think so, but
maybe it protected him from the naughty guy, not the monster.
It may have protected him slightly a little bit, but not from anything where that would be life threatening.
But maybe it's protected him from Hank Shaw, but not the older god.
Well, maybe a lot of supernatural things that won't corrupt him or make him less vulnerable. Although he was still vulnerable. I mean, he's a human being who doesn't know how to, doesn't bother to cast a spell or even try to. But he does get lucky a couple times, which kind of probably fits into this sort of thing. Maybe that charm she gives him was more for luck.
Lucky charm, so things can happen. Yeah, like things will come together around him. Maybe. Interesting point.
Yeah, well.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Anyway, as I said before, the story was pretty interesting. I mean, I like the colours. It was like looking at a comic book when I look at it.
Almost. Not quite as bad as Dick Tracy Foreign Beatty in it. That came over too much like a comic, but it was supposed to be a comic. Sort of a representation.
Yeah, well...
but it wasn't quite that severe, but it wasn't...
Yeah, but then again, Dick Tracy's movie, it was too clean to me. I mean, with Cast Deadly Spell, it was a little bit more grungier.
Yeah, great. I love grunge. Yeah, that's why the old film noirs are so good. Like the gold. Not
everything was clean.
No.
I mean, back then it may not have been clean all the time because people weren't living the life of luxury back then.
Poor didn't have
think of
the good guys didn't have any money.
Yeah, think of the stock market crash.
And we're going to have one now. Yay.
Oh, man, bad example.
I feel sorry for everybody, including me.
Yeah, I'm sorry for everyone who's going through this sort of thing.
Yeah, I lost a bit, and so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there hurting right now. But we are digressing. It's got nothing to do with the podcast.
I know.
However,
but I can't help it. I feel rather horrible that these people out there are suffering so much.
Yeah, well, I'm suffering. It's a bit close to home for me.
Yeah.
So I'm retired, folks. I'm relying on my investments. My investments happen to be in the share market, and my shares are going down dramatically. This here is about... What are we at? Towards the end of March, are we? And if anybody's listening to this, it's taking an never-ending spiral downwards at the moment.
Yeah, I feel all sick.
However, it will get better. We hope. Otherwise, I'll get a magic book and see if I can make some spells. Okay,
Other smells.
I do smells every morning. Yeah. Well, doesn't everybody have one in the morning when you get out of bed? Yeah, I go and have a leak. Yeah, trickle, trickle, trickle. And that sort of stuff. What? More just clearing my throat.
Yeah. So
I'm doing my best to be funny. Sorry.
So how would we rate this film, Pop?
Pop. Don't call me Pop. That's what my granddaughter calls me. Well, she calls me Poppy. Lovely. Hello, Poppy. Oh, hello, little one. Yeah. No. Call me Dad. Okay. Now, again, I try to put things in different crates. This is not a mainstream movie, so I'm going to grade it based on a telly movie. And as a telly movie, I think it's really, really well done. I know we say it about a lot of movies, but we are reviewing a lot of good movies.
Yeah, I mean,
It's got to be up around 9.5 for me. And we did one the other day, and I think it's the same sort of thing. It's so well done. The only thing, like I said, for me was that little bit, and the ending could have been a little bit more atmospheric. That could be a word.
Yeah, atmospheric is the right word
give you
for
that
it.
woo. So, but
To give
but,
you
but,
the
but it's a
final
fantasy
battle.
comedy more so. So maybe I was expecting a bit too much.
Oh yeah, I get it. But I do agree with Mike. I mean, I like a little bit of atmos when it comes to the last scene of the movie to make it like to give the viewers an eyeful, if that's a word for it.
Yeah, a good climax. Like, wow, look at that. Woo.
Something that you will walk out of the theater, or in
Remember
this
it.
case, it being
Or
on
walking
TV,
out of your television room.
and thinking and talking about it, even when you're just sitting around in the lounge room.
Did you see that big slug? No. That's it. Now, if you say, oh, do you see the big slug and what they did to it? They got the extra bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen movies in the past, and while I may watch them with other people, and they may say to me, I don't recall a slug in that scene.
Well, it looks like a big slug or a big
could have
maggot or a little bit like the creature in Starship Troopers. You know the thing the head bug that came out of the ground?
Yeah.
Like a big slug, maggoty type thing. A bit like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, we liked that movie, one day too. Yeah, Starship Troopers. I like the movie. They made 3 of those, didn't they?
I might have to.
Two or three of
I
those.
might have to check for you there.
I won't do that. The first one's good. The other one's what weird. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's milk it.
Yeah, Casper was
yeah.
hot.
Now, well, actually, while we're here, before we sign off, there was a sequel made called Witch Hunt. Now, there was magic involved a bit, but it was more replaced by political stuff and communism when there was the Red Scare back in those days. Now, the point is, I think it worked really as a fantasy, but when they try to bring it into the real world type thing, so communism, the Red Peril and everything else, I think it lost something.
Yeah, I think it did.
I mean, it had some good bits in it, but it was fun. And when they try to make it real, like bring a real issue like communism or whatever into it, it lost the fun bit. And then it just became another movie.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier in my last podcast episode about bringing reality into fantasy.
Yeah, sometimes it can work and sometimes it doesn't work. It didn't, to me, the sequel... look, it had good actors in it. Please don't get me wrong, and everything else was done. But the storyline, I think, let everybody down. I mean, you had, I think Dennis Hopper played the role of the detective, and I love Dennis Hopper. And everything I've seen Dennis Hopper in, he plays a good role. I think he's in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. He was done in the original, one of the early movies as an Easy Rider. And all the movies in between I've seen, he's pretty good. But this movie has let him and the other actors down, I think, of course, of the theme.
And also, it was a different director.
Well, yeah, but still, you had that story. Whoever wrote the story, they took that storyline on. I don't think it became a drama.
Well, anyway, as we're saying, with the sequel, I always think of both the Cast Deadly Spell and Witch Hunt. I think of them as just standalone movies with just similar character names.
It's still a sequel, and they try to get more mileage. It just change the whole theme. They should have kept the theme. More magic, less political intrigue and stuff, and it might have worked better.
Yeah, and used. I mean, I did like it with the dark shadows in Cast Deadly Spell. It felt
good.
It felt like it just fit. I mean, while this may not be in black and white. You do see a lot of dark shadows in those black and white movies, which adds to the effect. But this is just as good, having a bit of dark shadows to keep to the effect.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about some of these guys get it right. They use the light and dark quite nicely, and when you get something fantasy, a little bit sinister, thriller, shadows really can work to your advantage. You don't need to see everything crisp. You see the profile of the face. The rest of it's darkness. It makes atmosphere. It makes a feeling.
Yeah.
It brings that just that tingling sensation through saying, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And that's,
having us, it adds to the suspense.
Yeah, exactly
to the
right.
story.
Well,
I mean, I've talked to people and they keep saying, "Why do you have to make this scene long to increase the monsters not being noticed in the story?"
Yeah.
But it adds to a little bit of suspense, gives the viewers an eyeful, but at the same time not revealing too much of the facts.
Yeah, I've seen some movies over the years where I can't remember what it's called. I just can't remember the name of the movie. It's an old sci-fi, and you do not see the creature. You see through the creature's eye, and it is like looking for an eye because you see the outline of an eye, like the membrane of the eye. And always, I'm attacking. I'm coming to you. I'm going to get you. People go scream horror, fall away, and then the alien takes over their body. But you don't actually see the alien all the way through the movie, and the movie still worked. You don't have to see it. Implied stuff can also work really, really good and let someone's imagination take them to places they've never been before. What do you think?
Agreed.
You don't have to see it. Yeah, so seeing is believing. There's no monster in this movie. I didn't see him. No, you saw what the monster was doing. Let your imagination take you the rest of the way. And sometimes your imagination works better than any screenwriter or director can.
Quite.
Yes.
Yeah, so this movie, so I rate this movie with rating the movie. I think the with the special effects, the actors and the costumes, lighting and everything about it, I rate this movie about I guess I would probably say 9 out of 10 again. So
Yeah.
I mean, as I said before, I want to make the 10 for
Yeah,
give
well,
that
we're reserving the 10 for something special. We haven't found it yet, but
yeah, I mean, I know we keep saying everything's
yeah.
10 these days, but
Well,
I just
yeah.
feel like the 10 should go to something that doesn't have
something really good.
that doesn't have too many holes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, even a 10 can have a little bit of a problem, but overall it's going to be really good. And you go, wow. It's not like you watch a movie in a theatre and you go and say, wow, that was a great movie. We want to do one like that. We want to review something that leaves a lasting impression. Say, wow, that was fantastic. Yeah, back in the olden days, like guys like Cecil B. DeMille did these big epic movies like Ben-Hur and stuff. You know, those sort of movies. And you walk out of there after seeing a movie like that and say, wow, that was great. The filming was great. The story was good. Every action had this, and you walk and say, wow, that was a great movie. And we're trying to reserve the 10 for something like that.
Yeah, and no questions because the reason why I do keep rating these movies 9 is because there is always a question in the film that kind of bugs me here and there.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like with this one here, why did the battle scene for the creature didn't have a lasting impression?
It was a little bit flat, yeah. But that's, and again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It was a fantasy comedy. It wasn't that horror movie, action movie type thing. So maybe it was written that way for that reason. I don't know. Yeah.
However, guys, it made a lasting impression in the other scenes in the movie.
The movie made a good impression. I mean, you think about, wow, it reminds me of Humphrey Bogart movie,
Back to the Maltese Falcon
and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the sort of story like a mysterious stranger comes to your door. It's a woman, and she wants you to find some rare artifact.
Please help me, stranger. Okay, okay, ma'am, come in here and I'll fix you up. Yeah, or a bit like Roger Rabbit. Remember, there was a detective in that.
Yeah,
same sort of period. Yeah, if someone came in, Jessica Rabbit comes in. Lovely creature. Well out in front. Anyway, she came in looking for help from the Bob Hoskins. Now, that was the same sort of period. The 40s, 50s period. Yeah. And had the same sort of general feeling of that. But obviously, that was an animated comedy, totally non-serious. But yeah, had the same sort of feeling of that. And that was a good fun movie. That Roger Rabbit, he's a good actor. What? Oh, sorry, Bob Hoskins is a good actor. My mistake. I knew one of them was real.
Yes.
Wait a minute. That guy out of Christopher Lloyd, He was in that too, and he played a really interesting part. Can we do Roger Rabbit? Would that actually fall into fantasy animated or something?
Probably
We'll have
around
to look
there.
at it. If it fits into our criteria, we might do Roger Rabbit. Because I thought that was a really fun movie. But if it doesn't fit our criteria, we might do it anyway. No, we won't do it anyway. No.
Anyway, thanks for listening to our latest podcast, guys. We'll see you guys next time for our next one. Hopefully,
For you, so totally. Please keep safe, everybody. We don't want to lose any listeners. We don't have that many. We're trying to build our listening audience. So please tell your friends if you got any, if you're seeing anybody, because everyone's in seclusion at the moment, can't see anybody, but you have a telephone, you have the internet. Use it, tell them we exist, and we'll try to keep up the good work at our end and keep you entertained. Now, carry on, Sarah.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. This is Sarah Stephenson signing off. Bye.
Goodbye.